Prime Minister Liz Truss will today address the United Nations, where she will tell the assembled world leaders that economic growth is needed to combat Russia. This comes ahead of a meeting between the Prime Minister and the US President Joe Biden.
Well, joining us in the studio now, GBNews political reporter Katherine Forster. Katherine, I'm just looking at the sort of language being used before they meet together. Liz Truss's economic freedom trumps instruction. And then Joe Biden, I am sick and tired of trickle-down economics. It was never worked. We're building an economy from the bottom up and middle out. Not exactly a meeting of minds, is it?
I think it was rather unfortunate timing yesterday afternoon. Shall I put this diplomatically? There Liz Truss was, this huge moment, and what a powerful backdrop, the top of the Empire State Building, making this speech about saying, yes, I will be unpopular. And round about the same time, President Biden tweets that. I mean, entirely unlinked, I would say, in terms of...
Really? You don't think it was pointed?
I really don't. I don't think we are as important to Joe Biden as we might like to think we are.
Not even after what he did in London. I mean, of course, you know, he reflected very much on the Queen's position and the fact that he visited Westminster Hall with the First Lady and the US Ambassador. You know, it was quite a show of the special relationship.
And also he ended up sat on something like the 17th...
By the Polish Prime Minister, I think?
He was late, which must have been hard for somebody. But anyway, no, I don't think... I think it was for his domestic audience about what's going on in the States. But obviously, very unfortunate timing for Liz Truss to have this division so starkly pointed out. And of course, it was latched onto very quickly as well, wasn't it? But obviously, I mean, famously, Ronald Reagan, Margaret Thatcher were in lockstep, weren't they, about how to manage the economy. But then he was a Republican, she was a Conservative. We've got a Democrat. And so it was always going to be different. But clearly there is a lot of water between them, not just on this, but Northern Ireland as well.
You know, so she's been quite radical in her economic plans. It's quite a departure from politics as we've known it of late. She says tax cuts are the key to growth. But for many low-paid people, many people who are not in work, they don't pay tax. So how are they going to benefit, to go back, I suppose, to the Biden tweet, from the trickle-down? Where's it trickling down from?
I think, as you're right, not all adults pay tax. I think something like only 60% of UK adults actually paying income tax. So tax cuts straight away don't help them. It's fascinating, isn't it, that she obviously believes so vehemently in this position that tax cuts, trickle-down economics, as it's called, you know, helping people, even if it means you help the wealthiest, you give them a tax break of thousands of pounds or even more in the case of removing the cap on bankers' bonuses.
Or the bankers' bonuses,
That will ultimately benefit everybody. And I mean, the jury's out on whether it does. But of course, some of the most unequal societies, I mean, the United States has massive inequality, but also some of the very richest people.
And the lowest taxes. The lowest taxes? I don't know, actually. I have no idea if that's true or not, Katherine.
Well, there's a lot of research out over the weekend that was basically saying that countries that have more equality and a lesser gap between the people at the top and the bottom are often more productive and more prosperous.
And of course, the business taxes vary from state to state, which is a complication on it. But